I opened the doors to see and hear better, wondering why there would be extra people in the mini market when I only saw the clerk's car parked in his usual spot. Instead of being alone, though, there was a stressed-out man inside yelling and swinging his arms at the clerk. The rant was something about how responsibility of the social outrage and more recent events fell on the clerk. The irate man was determined that the horrible situation that this apparently was a part of was all the clerk's fault. The angry man pointed out such anecdotal evidence, such as that all the lights were out but his store. Therefore, his religion must be attacking us or something. I had no clue what on earth religion the clerk could possibly be, but regardless, I immediately walked over to stand next to the clerk. The aggressive guy looked at me for a second and made an expression on his face like, "Why aren't you taking my side on this?" Anger quickly resumed as the dominant emotion, but with two of us in apparent alignment, he was forced to reconsider his odds. Within a few seconds, it was clear the angry man didn't know how to continue his simple plan and couldn't adapt fast enough. He stood there stunned, looking between us, wanting to say more, but clearly now defeated and going through the motions of acceptance. He looked between us about 5 times and then walked out the door with a jingle as he repeatedly shook his head to meander off to wherever it was he came from. After a few moments, when the clerk was sure the angry patron wouldn't come back, I heard a click-click from behind the counter. Down below and across, the clerk decocted a snub-nosed .357 revolver and put it back under the counter. "Thanks. The mess would have sucked," he said in a half-chuckle as his well-masked adrenaline started to wear off. I thought to myself that it's sad that store clerks have to deal with as much as they have to. That idiot must have been new to the area because the last group that tried to rob this place didn't go very well. All 3 left in bags. Turns out that clown masks and hoodies aren't super great at stopping horndery, critical defense 125 grain ammo traveling at 1,500 feet per second. In order for shotguns to work, you have to do things like have the safety off and have a shell in the chamber, all important details that people don't think about when they aren't expecting an actual fight. "No problem," I said back, trying to sound calm, but really that could have gone bad quick. Then mentioned that I was just glad to help and that I was here to get some snacks. Clerk said I could help myself to a few things on the house, but I wasn't having any of that. I grabbed a box of 5 Zorn bars, graham cracker, and peanut butter, of course. I also looked, and they had my favorite flavor of 20-ounce Monster energy drink, the green tea kind, which is stupid hard to find. It's the rejuvenating product line that doesn't have a sugary boost at the front, but doesn't have the resulting crash at the end either. You get a really nice alert feeling, which I really like, plus it's refreshing and doesn't leave me feel dehydrated. I'd also seen these water packet products that were new on the market, Flexi Water. They were in a weird flexible bladder sort of thing that's hard to explain, so I grabbed some of those as well. I also thought to myself that I haven't changed the batteries in my flashlight in a while, and with that darkness stupidity outside, I thought it'd be a good idea to be extra prepared. You can never have enough batteries. Right then, there was a crash that sounded like it came from the direction of the gas pumps in the parking lot. The Friendly Mart clerk shouts to me to go out the back immediately as he simultaneously slams down on the emergency shutoff valve multiple times. I tried to explain to him that I hadn't paid yet, and he yelled, "Go now, pay later," and then rushed out towards the front, towards the collision. Chapter 4, Parking Lot. I can't really decide why I chose to exit out the back like he said. I want to tell myself it was because he was in charge and that he was showing solid leadership. I might be overthinking it, though, and it really hurts me to think this way, but I think the real reason is that it was more likely he was the captain in that one. That was his ship. His shutoff valve wasn't working, and the only other chance was the secondary shutoff. There would be no turning back from the secondary shutoff, and having a second person with him would be meaningless. Well, unfortunately, the secondary shutoff also failed for whatever reason. He didn't throw his life away, he simply took a calculated risk that he knew he had to take alone. Wherever he believes he goes when he passes on, I hope he knows he did the right thing, and I respect the heck out of him for that. As I was leaving out the back, the building went into exit-only mode. Not that I wanted to go back in anyway, and I got as far as I could as ancillary explosions started. Once I got to the corner of the block, I looked in the 3 available directions to try to see if the streetlight situation was contagious. I was really hoping for an easy circle around the block so I could efficiently get home. I didn't want to linger around the corner store and try to explain to the first responders how I had unpaid goods on me amidst this chaos. I couldn't offer any help anyway, and it isn't like emergency services were going to give me a ride home when obviously they were going to be busy. I noticed no sirens anyway, which supported my decision. It didn't make sense, and I waited longer. No sirens. As I considered returning to check on the clerk anyway, there were more explosions from my prior location. Despite the building being half a block away, the heat from the blasted inferno were becoming quite uncomfortable. I looked down the through roads again, trying to focus on the streetlights specifically. One of the streets wasn't even a through street, it was actually more of a residential back alley. It had no through street sign and didn't appear to go very far, and simply passed by electrical junctions. I recalled exploring that back street before. It had been lined on both sides with cracked out RVs. It was like a trailer graveyard with a mobile meth lab or two speckled in for good measure. There had been a county ordinance put in at some point, but it hadn't come easy. There'd been a lot of pushback by people who didn't even live local, with the argument of, but they needed somewhere to live. Yeah, well, the response was good. They can go live in your subdivision then, and it was more or less settled because none of the neighboring communities were helping subsidize them, so off they'd get scattered only to regroup like migratory birds on an already poopy lake. The collection of mass homeless had sent local theft through the roof and even pushed out the local homeless who had already been relatively peaceful, occupying the local forest. The poor housing unit stuck behind the RV graveyard was getting burglarized nightly, and the tenants could barely even drive through the rubble anymore to get in. Of course, the wreckage depot over yonder was not to be confused with the actual graveyard that was nearby. It was well kept up, and the homeless stayed well away due to the staff that doubled as security. It didn't take long enough before the final available biohazard third-party contractor prices raised so high due to risk, safety, and personnel shortages that the county couldn't afford it. The work-released prisoners could come clean up technically, but not without a biohazard crew coming through. No biohazard crew, no cleanup. The RVs were leaking their human waste tanks into the storm drains, causing fines the county couldn't pay. Sure, you could find the RV owners, but they didn't have any money. You could impound the RVs, but that was kind of cost-effective to store, auction, or dispose of. So they'd come back with a vengeance. There was no way I was walking back there. Not enough ammo in the world. Well, there was, but you get the idea. A few campfires destroying the concrete crackled and flickered behind the dilapidated wreckage. Shortly after, I heard stirring and shuffling of sneakers on broken glass as they rallied together to see what they could loot from the burning corner store. So that only left me with 2 options to get back home. The options are down to 2 streets now, and one of the streets has nearly half its lights out already. I checked all the directions in the intersecting roads that I could. There were no cars or no people anywhere, so I crossed the only feasible road I could to hopefully find a way back home. And still no sirens.